Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Making It with Marcus and Marianna. I'm Marcus.
And I'm Marianna, and today we have a very special guest, none other than my dad, Sulaiman Ismail. So we would just like to thank you for coming on as our first guest.
Yes, we really appreciate you coming and talking and learning with us about some really interesting topics.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, so this will be really fun. My dad, he made me. So this is about making it in this world, and I wouldn't be here without him. And I think that's something really important that I've been able to maneuver life through by having such an important, character figure, life figure, truly. So to know that I have my dad's support in everything that I do without judgment, knowing that if I need something or anything, really, he's there for me. So this is to dig a little deeper into how he's been able to help me in life, and now also Marcus. So we'd like to ask you some questions.
I'm here to answer them. Whatever you
Okay.
guys, my life's an open book, so whatever you want.
Awesome.
Making It with Marcus and Mariana is brought to you by Voidwalker Creative, a production company that finds the art within the absence. Check out Voidwalker Creative on Instagram and YouTube to view some of our content, like our Voidwalker artist showcases, as well as our new interview series coming up soon, Voidwalker Visuals. Huge thank you to our team at Voidwalker Creative for making this podcast possible.
So
Ask.
to start, we would just like to ask you about, you're a very influential person to me, but who has influenced you along the way, starting from like a really young age?
Uh, Influence. I would have to say, getting into the martial arts early. Bruce Lee and Bruce Lee was into a lot of philosophy, so I would just, listen to a lot of the different things he said. Um, and then going from there, um, my karate teachers were very influential. And then certain teachers were influential. Then it became coaches. Um, many football coaches or you know, um, influential.
Yeah, I totally understand that. One thing I would ask you is how would you say your experiences through MMA and football, shaped like your outlook on life in general? Like, because I know as a sports fan, it's a lot of mental. There's a lot of mental things that go on, and within both of those sports. So how would you say that those, have helped your outlook on life, change your outlook on life?
Well, whatever system you get into is going to teach you characteristics. And again, so these karate teachers and football coaches taught me things, uh, characteristics to take with you, whether patience or endurance. And I had a football coach that would pick a word every day, during doubles or whatever, and then that was the word. And so these certain things stuck with you, and then you just take that with you, uh, and everything else. And then just being young, my father dying early, that uh, was a big, to say influential, to say, so looking for a father figure. um so in these football coaches or
Mm-hmm.
karate teachers having male figures to be influential, somebody to look up to, um that's how they played a good part. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I totally get that.
So you've taken a turn also in your life after a young age. You took there. I guess I would describe it as just misleading, and you ended up in a difficult situation going to jail at an early age. How has that impacted your life, and what have you taken away as the major lesson of spending time in jail?
Well, again, whatever system you get into is going to teach you something. If you don't learn from one thing, you're going to learn from another thing. And again, so not having my father there to teach me the discipline that I needed, um, at a young age, I banged my head off the walls of I say man and spirit as far as that's concerned. Man being, I guess, rules and laws are just, authority figures, and that's just what's a young male is going to do. Testosterone starts kicking in, and you start acting crazy. So I've done a lot of crazy things, but you have to push boundaries to see where the boundaries are. And so going to jail, and I say jail, not prison. I've never been to a prison, but just a county jail. So going to a county jail, that is just, it's still a confining system, and that's kind of, actually it's harder to do county jail than prison, because you're locked up 24 hours in a bubble. Out of you're 23 out of 24 hours, you go to the yard, 1 hour. At the same time, it's still a system that you have a lot of time to think. Jail was fashioned after the monk system, where you're alone and you're in a in a cell. You're supposed to be in a 6 by 9, and you're supposed to get in touch with your higher power. So again, whatever system you're in, to learn whatever you need to learn, and that was the way my life went, and so that's where I went to learn that. Wherever you wherever you find yourself, you know, whether it's work, whether it's school, whether it's practice, it's a system. And that system, you have to work with other people. If you're working with yourself, you have to still get things done. So you have to show certain characteristics in order to get that thing done. Show yourself mature to get that thing done. Uh, Working with other people, teamwork, whatever characteristics needed. So you're gonna find yourself in these things, such as life, in order to make it. So and then whether if you get to go to the next level, or you have to repeat, life is gonna put you in certain circumstances. For me, I had to go to jail, and which is funny also, that just, I kind of knew that was going to be part of my path when I was younger. Once my father passed, I was like, I just knew the importance of needing a father. And
You knew you were going to end up in jail, or you knew that if you didn't have a father figure, in that sense, that once you lost the father figure, it's when the turn started to take, and so then the disruption in life started to happen.
Well, once my father passed, so then my mother was single mother, working all the time, and that's when my craziness started. Actually, when my father was still alive, and then my father passed. So me being so young, 7 years old, that's a very crucial time for any child to lose their father, because you're supposed to be your protector. 7 years old, you're psychologically, you're still in a state of mind where you're very vulnerable. So you just it's a time so my mother, being a single mother, after that, saw me going through my craziness. She showed me a movie, and it's called Bad Boys with Sean Penn, and he went to jail as a juvenile. Sure. And so once I saw that movie, I was like, it was in me. I was like, oh, I know I'm gonna. She's like, if you go to jail, do this. So I knew I needed to prepare to go to jail. And so that's the next thing too, in making it, just what you put your mind on, you gotta focus on. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, that seed was planted in my life, and then it just stuck, and that's the way it went. But I'm not mad that I went to jail. I'm very grateful. I could have ended a lot worse. So
the lesson is that you needed that to
correct.
get to where you are.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a very interesting mindset. It's a kind of, for me, it feels like it would take a strong will to kind of have that mindset over it. And a lot of people go through that situation and don't think back on it in that way, and feel that they've learned from the situation. Having been through, having been in jail for the time that you did, what beliefs and systems did you use, and how did you apply them to your life? Or how have you applied them to navigate through life?
Oh, that's funny. Well, I spiritually, again. So now here we go. I was talking about banging my head off the walls of man and spirit. So here I am. Anytime I got into any situation, I always turned back to my spiritual upbringing. my father was a Muslim, so I was brought up in the Muslim religion. And then when he passed, I moved in with his mother, my grandmother, Laura Nina, we called her. She was Christian, and so I spent most of my youth going to church. After going to the mosque, it was in prayer. So there's prayer and there's meditation, and in jail I learned how to meditate with prayer. Um, and so I was able to apply that and grow. Uh, and that's so it's such as life is. It's we're all spiritual beings having a physical experience, and once you learn that, um, then you learn how to go within, and everything. The answers are there. Even I used to dislike very much. Uh, Going to church and the pastor would be like, be encouraged, be encouraged. I'm like, what do you mean be encouraged? And the definition of it is within the word itself, encourage. Go within, go in and find your courage. So that's meditation. You go within, and so the best place to do that is in jail.
Right.
You have nothing but time. So meditate. And that taught me the chaplain there. He said to me, all my spiritual understandings, he said to me, I believe in the God in you. So that took my mind to take it out of, and this was from the chaplain, like the head, he was the chaplain of the church. He had, or chaplain of the church in jail, and then he had his own church out of jail, and so he was, this big. So, and he said this is my thinking, and I'm like, man, why did this man say this to me?
Yeah.
The God in you. And it was always the God out of me. You're always praying to God out of you. God out, you pray to God. So he said the God in you. And so now here I get in time. So I'm like, and this is where it got my mind thinking about different things, about times when I made things happen in my life. And sure enough, I know I didn't create all of this. And so, but it got my mind thinking in that direction. I know at times, that of my life that I said I need this. Even for me to move once my father passed, to move in with my grandmother in Pennsylvania, I was again my mother's home. I was home alone. My mother was working all the time. My brothers are older; they're gone all the time. So I'm 7, 8 years old, home alone all the time. And hindsight, clearer vision. I look back at what I did then. I mean, I used to meditate on what came before God. And I would black out. That I would think about it so hard I would black out. And so then it went from there to now I'm home alone all the time. My grandmother would come from Pennsylvania to New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey to visit us. And but I'd be there by myself. She came one time and a crackhead robbed her. And that's a long story. But so she got robbed by a crackhead. I called my mother at work. She's like, I can't do anything about it. And it's like, so I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I need to be with my grandmother. My grandmother needs to be with me. I hate being here and in Pennsylvania or in New Jersey by myself, and I just meditated on that for the longest. And then she came to visit, and I cried, and I ended up moving to Pennsylvania. So that was the beginning of to take it back to like 7 years old,
Right.
Of using my mind, not to say to use the word manipulate, to manipulate a situation to put me in a better situation. So I fast forward that mindset all the way to jail. And so now here it is. I'm older, and to use the word superpowers, and if the mind superpowers, here I am older, and I'm in jail, and I'm focusing on all this stuff, and this is now 3 years later. I've been sitting in jail for 3 years, and I'm like, I'm done with this place. And again, so the system, I've gotten enough out of this place. The way the things were changing. And I just again meditated on it, and so the God within, and understanding manifesting nowadays, my mental power compared with my emotional power. I said I'm done with this place. Yep. And so such as that, and to go forward. So now I was 32 years old when I got out of jail, 29 when I went in, 32 when I got out. And so I know, I knew then, like I wanted to accomplish certain things, but I wasn't mature enough because so now 32, I still had other thing, the wave of life. So it served its purpose. And that's I used my like I said, I used my superpower
hmm
to get out of that situation. And the superpower being the spiritual, mental, and then yeah.
Beautiful. That's yeah, it's very powerful.
I mean, I know it's a lot. It's not to say vague.
Well, it's not. You meditated too through it, so
Right.
it's
Yeah.
mental. Everything is a mental
It's
journey.
correct.
And if you're
Correct.
not capable of it, you will just not.
Yeah, and
Well,
everybody has.
Lead in that.
You'll go in a circle until you learn the characteristics of whatever the system. You'll go in a circle until you learn whatever you need to learn to move forward.
And like you said, it's all a system. But everybody just has their own different system, and there's different ways to go through it and go about it.
And some people have it harder because they haven't learned their lesson quicker. And some people are just able to take it as they go. And I mean, you did it in 3 years when some people have got it longer. And I know that you actually did have a longer sentence and you got out because of well behavior. Is that what?
Kind of. No. I was fighting a federal charge, and I was there. I was looking at. So, and again, the way that system is set up, they always want to tell you the worst. So, a lawyer comes and he's like, "You're looking at 17 and a half years," and I started crying. I'm like, "For what?" So they tried to put me in a conspiracy for 50 to 150 grams of crack. And at the time, the way it goes, I'm like, listen, I said 50 to 150 grams of crack. I said I didn't sell 50 to 150 grams. I said I wasn't even in a conspiracy. So they tried to say, I said I sold 2.8. I said I sold 2.8 for $150 to such and such on at 7:30 on February 27th and or February 26th, February 27th, the federal government kicked my door in. The police kicked the door in. And so that's how much crack I sold. I know how much crack I sold. I said, so, and this is the divine orchestration of it also, that once I know the trueness of the story, and if you anybody once you get into a situation and if you know the truth and more to the scenarios coming out
Well, we
more
just
than
talked about that. The truth, his, hers, and the truth.
correct.
Three different
So correct. So and once you know that and you're sticking to your guns, then you just stick to your guns.
Yeah.
And so it took me, so I told my lawyer, I said, after the 17 and a half years and I'm crying and everything else, I said, I will sit here as long as I have to sit here to get done what I need done. He said, it doesn't work that way. I said, well, the truth sets you free. He said, not in this scenario. I said, well, I'll show you. But it took it 3 years.
Yeah.
And I prayed. I said, and when I first got there again, so this is what I knew to do was to pray. So I said, Lord, if your hand is in this, I'll walk out this front door. And so again, so it took the 3 years, but and then in the end, the lawyer said, "You proved me wrong," and I walked out the front door. As they said, you could look at my paperwork, or I didn't snitch on anybody or anything else. It's just I changed, and even that my hair looked like this then. This is 20 years ago. My hair was like this, and the lawyer's like, "Well, what are you gonna do with your hair?" And I'm like, "If it's just a matter of my hair," so I cut my hair. Just to show that I changed, and now it's like to change again. It's like I won't let anything cut my locks. That's like Samson and Delilah in the Bible.
Oh, then he's straight.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So was funny.
Royal's just making noises
Yeah.
in the other room.
Like,
That's
sounds like a little kid saying "mom."
I thought I heard it, but I
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, well, since you were in jail for 3 years, and I mean, I was alive during those 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
I, as some viewers may be able to relate, not having their parent in their life by a circumstance like this or any other, I was blessed to know that my father was still present during those times from letters and just going to see him. But what advice could you give to, other parents or children going through this experience, the aftermath of it, like coming out and being able to go into your household again and that change? There's going to be change. So how do you face that change and knowing that you're going to be seeing, a different household than you saw before and with welcoming arms? If you were, I know, unfortunately, in our situation, we didn't we didn't have welcoming arms in certain ways. But I mean, we're here together, and to be able to change that for somebody else, what would be your insight on that?
Coming home, I knew that I was coming into somebody else's environment. And again, it's whatever. So when I say system, the first system that a person learns on this dimension is family. First thing you're born into is family, whether you have one or whether you don't. So and again, what I said before is, as far as learning to work alone or working with other people, it's a system that you have to learn to do things. So when I was getting out of jail, and I expressed myself at the time, that I knew, I said, I'm coming into your lives to get in where I fit in. And at the same time, I told my children, I said, I'm coming back into your life at a time when I lost my father. I'm coming back into your life a better man than what my father was. And so all of this. So I was bringing this tool set, and I knew I was coming into other people's lives, and so it was like a matter of not walking on eggshells, but at the same time knowing that, like a dad that's in there all the time. The dad, hey, well, dad said, and dad. So I came back into a situation again, understanding that it was a single mother, and mom said.
Yeah.
So, which is funny. There's a comedian that said, I hang out with my children so much, or my wife does everything, that my children think I'm one of them. And then they're like, well, your lucky mom didn't
Yeah.
find out or whatever.
I've
So
seen
it was
that.
kind. So I've seen, it's kind of like that scenario where, so I got in where I fit in, and I knew that. At the same time, that's what I say now is, like, in moving smoothly with people. Once you untie your knots, you can't untie somebody else's knots. So you can have patience and watch them work,
You can't change them.
but you can't change them. You can't. You could only change you. So no matter what's in it, like, you go to a job, you can't go in there expecting to change the job, the system. You can't go into a jail expecting to change the jail. It's a system, So it's like, but you got to go in. You have to get in where you fit in. Again, it's your journey. So understanding that, at the same time, I'm still a father. I'm still I'm supposed to be a husband, a father, and then a friend. And there's a hierarchy to certain things, and everybody to play their part. And I understood that also. But now, again, if everybody doesn't understand, if you're watching football, the kicker can't play the part of the quarterback, and so everybody has their part on the team to play. And then, so coming back into a situation, I understand there can't be two major authority figures in a scenario. There has to be a head coach. There has to be
Sure.
an assistant coach. The head coach gone, assistant coach, cool. So there's rules. There's, not to say rules of engagement or whatever, to put it that way, to understand it. So this is what I was coming back into, and there was four children at the time, and then a wife, and then so five other perspectives that I had to deal with.
Sure. Yeah.
And five other knots. So while I had time to work out my knots, there was five other people getting knotted.
Yeah.
So it was like coming back into that scenario. So now again, it's a journey. So it's the journey that it is. That's it was in any situation is difficult. So once you could see it clearly, it's going to be a difficult scenario. The first ingredient of love is patience. I love you. I love you. I love you. Nowadays, people say just love you. I love you. Love you. I love you. So if you love me, don't tell me you love me if you don't have patience with me. At the same time, I can only have as much patience with you as I have with myself.
Sure.
Patience is the first ingredient of love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love holds no records of wrong. So understanding that, again, back to when you see these knots, only thing I can have is patience. I was 32 years old. I was 32 years to 36. I mean, you know, uh, it patience. When they say my patience wears thin, you know, so that's the case scenario for that. The advice I would give is to build up your patience because love conquers all, and patience is the major ingredient of it. So that's the one thing. And you know what is patient? Patience is waiting with a positive attitude. Patience is being humble with the next, first with yourself again, and then with the next person. So in what at whatever age. Nowadays they say, oh, that's an old soul. So you see these children showing these characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
You see old people acting really grumpy with no patience. Show whoever, wherever you are, patience is key. Waiting with the positive attitude, and if you can get to a level of consciousness where you're not having patience, then to be conscious in that. So that, and that's
definitely catch myself.
And then an apology with change of action is a major key to go forward.
That's something we definitely constantly do.
Yeah, it's always something
Constant.
we're trying to work on.
An apology is key. But I mean, that's the journey of making it.
Of course.
Because if again you say you failed. The one song I wrote, I said, so what? I failed at a couple of things. So did Michael Jordan. Now he has 6 rings. And understanding that failure is failure is the stepping stone to success. And again, this first system that we get put in is family. And then when we create our own family, it's like, so now I'm in position, because how do I know? Now again, I'm driving truck all the time now. Boom. So you say I'm driving truck all the time now, and I'm by myself. So this is another system that I'm in. It's a different system now for me. So the times that I get though that I need to practice my characteristics is patience. It's like, so you need iron sharpens iron as a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. So you need 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then when iron sharpens iron, there's friction. And in order for a tool to be sharp to be used, it needs to go through that friction. A lot of people don't want to go through that friction.
Sure. So
you need family. You need more than one person to do. So again, in this truck thing, I love it that backing maneuver is the hardest and when you have somebody else to help you, it's the greatest. The other day, I'm looking to back, and I had a crazy maneuver to do, and I had to get out the truck, get out and look. GOAL, get out and look. So I had to get out and look a couple times, and I'm starting to sweat because I'm nervous. And so another truck driver came over. I was by myself. The second this guy came over and looked, he got out and helped me. 2 seconds later, I'm in there with somebody else's help.
Yeah.
I'm in this system by myself doing it. It's taking me longer. The second somebody else comes over, one set 1,000 a flight, 2 will set 10,000 a flight. Exponential growth. So that's how you make it.
Mm-hmm.
It's this system, these characteristics, and apply the lessons learned ASAP in your life, as soon as possible in your life. To say, if I knew then what I know now, as many people say. But yeah. So.
Hey there, marvelous movers and shakers, tuning in to Making It with Marcus and Marianna. Are you ready to be a badass in a career that brings you pleasure? I'm Madison, dear friends of your new favorite podcast hosts and friendly neighborhood pleasure positive podcast host. And holy F, I've got something mind-blowing for you. Brace yourselves, because your career is about to get a pleasure-filled upgrade. If you're ready to level up your career game and reconnect with your inner badass, you're in for a treat. Picture this, a 21-day self-worth reset course designed to unleash your inherent power, brought to you by the Pleasure Positive Podcast. We've curated the best exercises and pleasure practices for self-worth from over 300 episodes of our top-rated sexuality podcast. And trust me, this is a game changer. Every day, you'll have access to guided audio prompts, journal prompts, custom meditations, basically all the secret sauce that has turned our Pleasure Positive Podcast into a must-listen phenomenon. But wait, there's more. Dive into our private Facebook group. It's like the Hogwarts of self-love, full of support and connection to empower you through the 21 days. Now here's the kicker. This transformative journey is normally valued at $37, but it's on the house for you extraordinary listeners of Making It with Mar. Yeah, you heard it right. Free. So if you're ready to treat yourself like the VIP you are, reclaim your essence, and kickstart an extraordinary career, sprint over to pleasurepositiveliving.com/Making It with Mar to snatch up your free gift. Your self-worth is like a rare gem. Precious, undeniable, and definitely worth flaunting. Don't wait. Take the first steps towards the career of your dreams. Visit pleasurepositiveliving.com/Making It with Mar now and let the magic begin. Disclaimer, this offer is as wild as a unicorn ride with limited time and quirky conditions. Check the website for all the delightful details. Once again, that's pleasurepositiveliving.com/Making It with Mar. pleasurepositiveliving.com/Making It with Mar.
It's pretty incredible to hear. I personally wouldn't be able to get those words out and explain all of that, and I cannot even imagine, going through some of the experiences that you've had. But all in all, I know that you've written a book, and um, me and Mariana and I have been pretty inspired by what we've seen, and we're just curious on like what inspired you to make that book and what gave you the idea to write that book.
Well, when I was younger, I always wanted to write the book. But I also knew that I had to go through something to write. So going through my divorce at 39 years old, I didn't know the state of mind I was in at the time. It's like so I didn't know, not to say if I was going to make it, just don't know. You're in a depression. So whatever you don't know what to do. So I said to myself, you know what? I want to leave a legacy for my children. Let me write this book now so that they know what I went through. Because people always question, what did my parents go through? And then did my parents go through what I'm going through, or am I going through this because my parents went through this? So I wanted to write a book for my children, so that they can know what I did and not do it. So it's father figure, do what I say, not what I did. And it's not to not have experiences, but at the same time in life, if you can go through certain things, you're supposed to have struggles to get strength, but if you don't have to bang your head as much to have a smoother road, then you can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the inspiration to write it, was the children. And I always, again, in when I was a child, always wanting a father figure. So it's a double entendre kind of with everything, but wanting a father figure, wanting to be a good father figure. And even as another line, all I ever wanted was a father figure. Didn't want to do time for pulling triggers. Mm-hmm. So this whole father figure thing, again, the importance of it, it's just something that carries on for children and children and children. You need to leave a legacy. So that was the reason why I wrote it. That was the reason when I wrote it, going through what I was going through. So and it's just to get it all out, and part of the healing process. And that's why even in the back of it, it's like I am healed, is a major component of it, because that's a part of what we go through in this life. Also healing past, healing our past traumas, so generational traumas. So that's, I am healed, is a major part of that also. So because it's like we're all plants with more emotions, and a plant could only put its energy into healing or growing. So we need to heal before we can grow. And in order to get as big as we like to get, we need to heal. So how do we know to heal if we don't know what we've been through or our parents been through? So that's what inspired me to write it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think if anyone's watching this, parent-wise, you should definitely write a book. I've learned so much by reading that, and even just hearing the little stories about myself, and like hearing how, you think, and even just, just reading even the first chapter, it's kind of like reading the Bible of where it all started. It's like you don't really get those moments. And I think about how my grandparents, like my grandmother, I don't get to ask her as many questions that I'd like to. And if she had a book, I would know everything. So it might not be for everyone to read, but it's for your kids and the next generation, because photos can be burned in a fire, photos can be deleted off social media, and yeah, a book can go away too, but I mean, I could buy my dad's on Amazon. So it's there. So I just think it's really important for the next generations to come to not miss those, and I think it really is important to know what a generational curse is and to know kind of what your family's generational curses are, to kind of correct those in your own ways. I know what mine are in a lot of ways, and I know what not to do and what to do. And I think that's also what's really important about having my dad here present in my life, and him living in a completely different state and being able to come here to California to visit and spend time with me and Marcus. And just these moments are really special. And what really got him here is the truck driving. So what you've said, which really stood with me, is that you say that everyone in their life should drive truck at least once. And he'll tell me that he sees girls out there look little as me, and with their cats in their truck, and it makes it seem like, yeah, and I've known girls who've done it, but why do you say that? Can you elaborate on the meaning and why you feel people should drive truck at least once in their life?
It's not necessarily the stress of driving truck, because what they say, you don't wish something stress. They say the saying is, you don't wish something bad on your enemy, or I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So truck driving, as stressful as it is, I don't wish that on a person. It's just I'll take that analogy of they call it windshield therapy. And again, so if it's either truck driving or jail. I would say a person either needs to go drive a truck for a month or go to jail for a month, but to get that time away. And again, so back in the day, whenever that day was, people would go to a monk monastery. You would have time to go within, and so that's the whole analogy of truck driving. A person should drive a truck because it is stressful. The divine orchestration, as I call it, of how I got into this truck. I always wanted to drive truck. The craziness of how life went that I wasn't able to. So now this is something that I wanted to do again, the go within. So here I am, able to do it. For me, this is working. And so that's the reason why I can say, get to speak my truth, your truth, the truth. So to say everybody, so that's my perspective of it. If you're not driving the truck, then be the passenger in somebody's truck. That's. But it's just part of growth. That alone time also.
So I think it's also really funny that you say to be a passenger, and in life, truck is the first step, right? I know one of your goals is to have a boat one day. And so truck is the first step into having your own boat and traveling the world. So what is the next steps in life? And I know you take it step by step, but where do you see yourself getting to the boat next? What journey and where do you see yourself traveling to?
Well, in this divine orchestration, right now I'm in a place where they call the unknown. This is, you can other people, but the unknown is a place where anything can happen, and all you have to do is stay true to the character that you acquired. And once you know that you've acquired these characteristics, then all you have to do is maintain a mature position. And the mature position is maintaining these characteristics. As the next saying goes, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I acted like a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. So this is the maturity that needs to be shown once you acquire these characteristics. And this is the journey of life. you set your intentions, and then you practice patience. And when you practice patience, you pretty much there's the next characteristic of faith. So so then you right now I'm practicing the characteristic of faith and patience, and with that I know and expect my intentions will come to fruition in this dimension. And so that's really it. It's not That's the next thing is learning to discern. You can't share everything with everybody, and because not everybody has the best intention for you. So even on your journey, and whether you're driving a truck and the person's next to you, whether you're in jail and you're about to get out, and you can't tell everybody because the next guy might not be
Try
getting
to fight you.
whatever the scenario, correct. And Lord knows it could be worse. Wherever you look, so driving a truck, whatever it could be worse. So Lord knows, you learn to discern. Discernment is another characteristic. You learn who to tell what, and learn when to do what. And so right now I'm practicing patience, and I'm very young in the game, and the game of life, and good genetics, so I'm pretty much going to be here for a while, and yeah. So the Lord knows that I have my intentions set, and we you know just got to wait and see what happens.
So I guess with that said, you really truly will have to just wait to see what happens next time. We really thank you for being here on this episode with us. It's been a pleasure talking with you and learning about a lot of things that we have no clue about, and some of our viewers may not know. So it's very insightful, and you're awesome to have here.
I appreciate you guys having me, and I look forward to seeing you guys make it further.
Thank you so much, Abuya, for coming on with us. Yes, I call my dad Abuya. It means my father, but literally my father was on today as our first ever guest. So we have officially made it. So please hit us up on social media to connect with us for upcoming episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you for watching another episode of Making It with Marcus and Marianna. I'm Marcus.
And I'm Marianna.
We'll see you next time.